In this video, we will be talking about plant classification. I'm not sure which part is supposed to be in our series, maybe part 5 or 6, I'm not sure. But then, uh, yeah, this is an extension of what is included in fourth quarter biology. This is after fungi. So, plant classification, um, I remember we have 4, and mosses and ferns are one of them, or 2 of them. Yes, we have gymnosperms and angiosperms. Yeah. Um, I still remember that there is this particular classification wherein they're seedless, but they are vascular. But we'll get to that soon. First, we have moss, or more formally named bryophytes. So they have a non-vascular structure. That means that they don't have any roots, stems, or leaves. And that explains why they are small in size. And they reproduce by spores, not seeds. Um, Again, moss, non-vascular and seedless. Um, Spores, they produce spore capsules on sporophytes. So the sporophytes are the elevated part of the moss plant, in the case of moss. Um, so what's the habitat? Where do they live? They live in moist forests and arid deserts. Um, so wherever there is high humidity and low light intensity. And yes, one thing about non-vascular plants is that instead of having a phloem-xylem system, like for the transport of water, respiration, all that stuff, instead they're able to do the process called diffusion. So it's only present in non-vascular plants because diffusion is useful in plants that are small in size. If the plant is big enough to be vascular, then that's when phloem and xylem are needed in order to facilitate high, a higher responsibility of the same thing, which is the transport of substances from inside to out and vice versa. Let's talk about the divisions. Um, so Bryophyta, mosses, Ansosaurophyta, hornworts, and Marcantiophyta, liverworts. All of these basically are non-vascular. So they're all small in size. I think these are the only 3 plants that are non-vascular in everything, the entire, uh, yeah. But I'm not sure. That's not proven. Ferns, formerly called pteridophytes. There are no flowers or fruits, unlike angiosperms. However, they do have a vascular structure, unlike mosses. So basically, they grow from stem rhizomes. They're big in size. They reproduce using spores, not seeds, just like mosses. So that's when ferns and mosses are the same. They are similar in the sense that they reproduce using spores only, not seeds. So spread spores through air or water. And yes, yeah, like what I said, they're seedless. What's the habitat? Where do they live? They live in damp environments in order to keep water in. So they are vascular after all, so they need more water. And yes, pteridophyte is not only limited to ferns, we also have horsetails and club mosses. So these 2 in particular are used in herbal medications. And yes, one feature um, of pteridophytes is that they have fronds, large leafy structures, which explains why they are big in size. Okay? So far, so good. Okay. Um, let's go to gymnosperms. So, gymnosperms have a vascular structure from xylem, transport cells of stems. So, that's basically what I said earlier. Gymnosperms basically have to spoil it to you already. They are um, under this, we have 3 species. Everything, or at least mostly, if not everything. But I'm pretty sure it's everything. Because in under gymnosperms, you have the biggest plants, the biggest trees. Uh, one of one of them particularly is the Sherman tree from the US. It's considered the biggest tree in the world, and it is a gymnosperm. They reproduce by exposed seed or ovule. So, unlike bryophytes and pteridophytes, gymnosperms and angiosperms reproduce by seeds. But then, yes, gymnosperms only seeds. Angiosperms, fruits, flowers, and seeds. These are the products that they can produce. For the seed, majority born in cones, invisible until maturation. The cone is invisible until maturation period is reached. Sporophyte bears the reproductive structures, and the naked seeds are not coated within an ovary or fruit. That's why they're called naked. They're described as naked. So, yes, naked seeds, automatic, it's gymnosperm. What are the four divisions of extant gymnosperms? We have Pinophyta, Cycadophyta, Ginkgophyta, and Gnetophyta. More on this later as we, how do I say this? Work on each one, discuss each one in terms of how common they are in the environment, how many species they have, etc. etc. Okay, Cycadophyta, cycads, ornamental plants. Ginkgophyta, ginkgo, antioxidant. I think this is the most. I think Ginkgophyta only has one species, uh, and it's beautiful, definitely. More on that later again. Microstrobili, male pollen cones. So these are the male. This is called the male pollen cone with reduced leaves called microsporophylls. The microsporophylls. More on this later. The microsporangia is located below the microsporophylls. So what is the microsporangia in the first place? How is it relevant? So basically, they contain cells that undergo meiotic division in order to produce haploid microspores. So it has something to do with reproduction. Okay? Angiosperms. So they have a vascular structure, roots, stems, leaves, xylem, phloem. They can bear fruits, flowers, and seeds, like what I said earlier. And yeah, what are the factors that make them attractive to pollinators? Natural pollinators such as bees. Well, three of them are color, shape, and smell. So, yeah. Their ability, the feature of being very attractive to pollinators, it's not just the wind that carries angiosperm pollen. It's also various kinds of pollinators, living or not. And that explains why angiosperms are the most diverse plant species compared to gymnosperms and everyone else. I think if I remember the number right, it's around 150,000 species in total under angiosperms. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the number that I remember. I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. So the seeds develop in fertilized ovaries to produce fruits. And yes, what are the related species? We have dicots. In dicots category, we have Louisiana magnolia trees, and for the monocot category, we have the orange daylily. Okay, so yeah, I think we just went back to gymnosperms and angiosperms, but I think this is a summary of what was stated and some additional information regarding life cycle in particular, etc., etc. Okay, let's start first with gymnosperm again. So they are non-flowering plants. They reproduce. The reproductive system is in cones, and they have naked seeds or unenclosed seeds, and the leaves are needle-like. Uh, if you see the word evergreen, then that automatically refers to gymnosperm. And if they have a haploid tissue, they're gymnosperms. Unlike gymnosperms, angiosperms have a triploid tissue. So um, one pollinator, one factor that contributes to gymnosperm pollination is the wind, only the wind. And compare that to the angiosperm. They get pollinated. Their pollen is distributed by animals, wind, and water. So there are definitely more factors, which again explains why angiosperms are more diverse compared to gymnosperms and everyone else. And yes, gymnosperms, softwood, angiosperms, hardwood. I'm not sure why it's like that, but then, yeah, because from how I understand it, if the species, if we have trees under gymnosperms, then isn't it supposed to be that the trees here are durable? But then, yeah, I'm not sure why trees are softwood, but yeah, I won't question the data. I know these are true. For angiosperm, they're flowering plants. Their reproductive system is in flowers, and the seed is enclosed within the ovary. They have flat leaves, and the life cycle is seasonal, and they have a triploid tissue, like what I said earlier. They're pollinated by these three, and they have a hardwood. Uh, Hardwood is associated with angiosperm. Okay? And yes, these are examples for each. Diversity in animals, this will be for the next bit. Let's finish everything that's under plant diversity, should I? I think this is too much. I'll make a separate video um, to finish off everything about plant diversity. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.